So, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Real Deal podcast with Sarah and Suzanne. Today we are talking about, can AI replace your property manager? We just hosted a Meetup event on this, and now you are listening to episode number 32 of the Real Deal podcast, where we will talk about what we learned in that Meetup and whether you should be implementing AI or replacing your property manager with an AI solution.
Yeah, so we went into this Meetup thinking, hey, can I just an agent on my computer that will manage my properties for me? And I think after the conversation, the better question is, can AI replace parts of my property management and be part of the solution? Because really like so many of our jobs and careers, it does require a human in so many parts of this. So I think what we learned, as an overview is that, AI allows us as humans to do a better job on the people pieces and takes away some more of that operational and repetitive stuff that can get in the way of scaling a business.
Yeah, that was definitely the biggest takeaway with Colby Knickerbocker, who is our guest speaker. He is a local property manager with Legacy Property Management out of Sisters. He manages properties all over Central Oregon, and really the way he uses AI is to do those repetitive operational tasks, running reports, giving rental estimates, and all the things that AI can do by searching the web, that we have historically spent our time doing. But where the real value is in property management is those human connections, the one-on-one, the conversations, here's the value that we provide to you by having all of these additional tools that AI can now offer, and just helping people make more informed decisions of how to price their rental property appropriately and what the competition is out there in terms of both the rental and sales market. And also the really interesting part was automating some of those annual and semi-annual maintenance things that can come up, that always come up, right? If you have a rental, so replacing your furnace filter and your batteries and your smoke detector and all those things can be automated using AI agents to set some triggers so that everyone, including the handy person, gets reminded every 6 months or a year to go back and do those things. So that was really, really interesting. And it's one of those things that I feel like, having had multiple property managers that did not have a process or a system for that, I was always the squeaky wheel owner saying, hey, when are you going to go out and clean the gutters? Hey, when are you going to go do this maintenance item? And this really just takes all of that out of the owner's hand and even the property manager's hand, because it's automated and it gets done.
Yeah, so those repetitive tasks are definitely one way that it supports a property management business, or you as a property management, your person yourself for your own rentals, whether that's, just one to help you get organized, or if you have several to actually help you with better decision making. But the other part of it is that, us in particular, and also Colby and his business, focus on sellers, owners who focus on investment real estate. And this tool, AI, can also create better decisions because it can help all of us analyze better, right? And so this, I think, is giving his business a leg up as a property manager, in that, like, most people who have property manager are really just receiving like a monthly statement, and that's really it. But people who have investment properties want a little bit more than that. They want quicker decisions, they want quicker communication, and they want actual numbers, right? And AI can help summarize, categorize, come up with patterns, help you come up with cash on cash, all of the numbers that matter to investors as, they're attempting to grow their portfolio. And, not all property managers are created equally in terms of just like how they operate and how they view those things, and where they even, put those in level of importance, and where they're, how they're integrating them into their business. And AI has, I think, for Colby and his business, proven to be a really valuable tool in terms of just being able to get back to his investors quickly, be able to come up with that data quickly. Yeah. So just really helping his clients make better decisions. Another heavy lift for how AI is used in his business.
For sure. And one question that we had during the meetup was like, how do you handle tenant questions and, repair requests? And what he said is the portal that he uses, that many property managers use, whether they're kind of more the dinosaur property manager or not, like they all have transitioned to some sort of platform like Buildium or Appfolio or one of those. So there's a tenant portal, and the way he has upgraded his is by integrating AI that does some initial triage for, like, a maintenance request that comes in. So it's then sending a question back to the tenant before scheduling someone to go over and take a look, like, oh, my sink's clogged. Oh, okay, well, did you try this? Did you try this? Before you're spending your owner's actual money to bring someone over for something that could easily be addressed otherwise. So some of these things can be automated, but obviously, like, not all tenant questions can be automated. And that's, again, part of the value is now he has more time to spend answering tenant questions and developing those relationships and having tenants who love where they live because they have a responsive property manager. Like, mind blown, so many tenants hate property management companies because they just feel like a number, where they just send their rent in and they get, whatever, maybe they get part of their deposit back at the end, but there's just really no interaction. And I think the AI integration really helps have more of that community and connection between the property manager and the tenant, which is important.
I mean, I think some of that triage also, for his purpose, like he's a relatively small business in the world of property managers, like, and this, having this level of triage, these layers in between when the tenant, the clients, whatever, get to you with questions that can be easily answered, allows him to, like a bigger business, compete as a bigger business, without all the overhead of expensive labor, which is usually the biggest part, biggest expense in a business as they start to scale. So yeah, I mean, as Suzanne already mentioned, I think property managers kind of come with a bad rap already. I think a lot of people walk into property managers just thinking, like, listen, they place tenants, they collect checks, and they, provide invoices. But I think this is an opportunity to show, investor-centered. We have a different language, so I have to keep correcting myself. We call them sellers or whatever. Property managers call them owners. Clients in general, that you don't have to tolerate bad communication or outdated systems, that it's, sometimes taking a chance on the small guy that picks up their phone when you call and answers your emails within 24 hours. Is kind of the way of, the way of the world. Things are changing for the positive for, I think, smaller business owners, being able to integrate AI and just getting more efficient. And that integrating AI doesn't necessarily mean selling out or no human interaction or no authenticity. It really is just like an augment to what we're already doing well, and the work ethic that all of us already bring to the table. So yeah, I think that was one of my bigger takeaways this meetup.
For sure. And one last thing that was really interesting that we just really touched on at the end was how AI can analyze an owner's portfolio and help them make strategic decisions. So for folks that own more than one property and maybe trying to decide, oh, do I 1031 into something else, or is it just time to sell? People are at various stages of their investment journey and their owner journey. It helps them, analyze by looking at which property is consistently creating the most maintenance issues, which vendors are slow or expensive, what tenant communication issues keep coming up, what recurring repairs might signal a bigger capital improvement in the future, and which unit has the best return after expenses, not just the highest rent. So I think it's really helpful for those of us with portfolios that are looking to optimize our investment, and whether it's cash flow or appreciation that we're looking for. Of course, we always want both, but being able to look at hard data and what you've been spending, what your tenants are asking for, and what's going to be needed in the future to be able to make those decisions proactively. So I love that, and I think there's a lot more that could even be uncovered there in a conversation with Colby and just everything that he's developed with the AI agents that he's created for his owners. So yeah, it was a great meetup. So much more information. You can tell when you watch the replay, which is on our YouTube page, that he is so passionate about this. He loves it. Like, he stays up to all hours of the night creating these AI agents, doing all these new things, and it lights him up. He loves what he's doing, and that's what you want to see in a property manager. And that's what I feel like so many of us who have had to fire property managers have wondered, is this out there? Is there a property manager that actually loves what they're doing? Well, we found one for sure, and he's definitely worth giving a call because he is doing some really unique things and forward-thinking, tech-savvy things, and I definitely think that his business is going to continue to grow, and I will tell you from my own perspective, he's on my short list for potentially taking over a couple of my properties. So I'm sold.
Well, the answer to our question, can AI replace your property manager? Oh, not really, not a good one, right? But it can help support the property manager that you choose, right? And I guess if you choose to do it yourself on a smaller scale, there's also tools that can be implemented as well. But yeah, on these larger scales with larger portfolios, it gives you more real-time data to be able to make those decisions that are less costly and less emotional.
Yes, and what it can certainly replace is all of us DIYers spending countless hours doing all this stuff ourselves, like lease renewals and advertising our properties and looking at comps to figure out how to price our properties. Like, I'm at the point where I'm now just like, I'm going to hire someone that knows how to do this and is going to do it for me. And ultimately, it's going to, make me more money in the long run. So I'm happy to pay someone for their knowledge and service and doing a good job. And Sarah and I were just talking earlier, like, we love being part of investor savvy, tech forward organizations and partnering with those people because it helps us all be so much more efficient and effective, better communicators, and more present for the humans that we interact with.
Right. The real goal behind it is to create more time, right? And for ourselves and for the people and places that we want to be communicating with. And sometimes that's our clients, right? Having more one-on-one time and more time to actually pick up the phone when people call.
Yes. Well, if you want to catch the full replay of our AI property manager discussion, just head on over to our YouTube page and check it out. And you'll also have the opportunity to connect directly with Colby there with a QR code that will connect you right to him to book a call. So thank you all for joining us for episode 32 of the Real Deal podcast with Sarah and Suzanne. We will see you next time.